To the Higher Way podcast. Today's guest is Stuart Hurst, somebody I've known a long time, but we've sort of lost touch. But through the power of Facebook and the internet, we're back in touch. So, Stuart, how are you doing, mate?
I'm very well, Bob, and it's lovely to see your smiling face as well.
Ha ha ha! Bearded though, nonetheless. Yeah.
Same here. Probably you can't really tell because of my atrocious camera, but I think everyone's. I hate saying it, but it's like the COVID beard. I'm normally smooth shaved all the time.
Oh, you're beautifully smooth.
I seem to have got this goatee type thing going on, and it's a bit grey, which doesn't do me well.
As long as I've known you, you've been smooth. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, I used to try. Now I've given up. Now I'm just a bit bumpy rather than smooth.
Yeah, and we're having a laugh earlier on about the job you do. You're in the media. You work with cameras and lighting, and I can't help but notice how brilliant your lighting is at the moment.
Yeah, I say it's embarrassing. I mean, this is for what I do for a living. I work in the media. I'm a cameraman. I'm a director. I'm a DOP. And a producer, and I have my own company. And the lighting we've got in here and the camera we're on is about a 50p camera and a flashlight. So all I can do is apologise, and I hope that it doesn't spoil the viewer. Hopefully, mind you, it's probably better because you can't really see me, which is always a good thing, you know.
That's why you're behind the camera, isn't it? Normally.
That's it. Yeah. No, I've given up with trying to be.
Although I remember, I mean, going way back now to when I lived up in the northwest. I think I met you. I don't know whether I met you on the set of a film or it was something like that. How did we first meet? Let's go back that.
The very first time I seen you, we were shooting with Cliff Tremlow and John Ryan and Dave Kemp Watson for Ice Productions. We were making a film. I think it was GBH 2. It may have been GBH 2.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, and we was in like a health club thing, and you came in with John.
Yeah.
Because we was doing some scenes later on, and I had to get punched and kicked over a banister doing a stunt.
Of course you did.
And then we were stood there chatting away, and obviously then we just started discussing martial arts, because I knew John because he was chairman of the BTBC. And
that's right.
So I kind of knew him from that as well, and he knew I'd known him for years. So yeah, that was the first time. And then we sat there and I thought, who's this strange guy with this funny accent?
Oh, you can talk.
And that was you.
And that was me.
Yeah, and it was a really nice time. And I seem to remember I ended up staying over because I wanted to see what you guys were doing, because you did a small piece in there, like a cameo thing with John.
Oh God, do you know, I've forgotten all this. You know, I remember when you mentioned GBH, I thought, yeah, Cliff stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Were you involved the one where they had that panther?
Yes, that's
yeah. Were you on camera then? Were you filming?
Yeah, no. In the days back then, in the days of like the films when I used to work with Cliff, you did everything. You literally did everything. So you could be setting up lights, you could be in front of camera, you could be behind camera, not operating the camera. That was always like Dave Kemp Watson and I used to do some camera work on it as well. But yeah, it was like all hands to the pump. It was in the days of true guerrilla filmmaking. I mean, Cliff and Dave and John, because John obviously he did his, what was the film, John? Was it Blind Side of God?
Oh yeah, Blind Side of God, yeah. Yeah,
and all that sort of thing. These were all like films that weren't ever going to see the light of day in our eyes, but we just wanted to make them, and we didn't have the budgets, obviously, like Hollywood with like Eastwood and all the rest of them. So we all used to just muck together, and it was just a case of like, just get on and do it. So yeah, film-wise, I used to act in them. I used to do stunt work in them, choreograph all the fight scenes. It's like, remember the old comedy, I can't remember the name of the comedy show, and it used to be like Dennis Waterman about I used to sing the theme tune, hum the theme tune, I wrote the theme tune.
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, that's true, actually, yeah. Because I worked on one of David's films, and I ended up doing the lighting for it.
Yeah.
Because he said, he said to me, you said, you've done lighting at university, haven't you, on your degree? I went, yeah. He said, oh, can you do the lights? And it was Cliff's, one of Cliff's films. and it was where he changed into the Panther, and the Panther changed into him.
Yeah,
and we did the lighting in that church in Manchester with the priest scene, and I think that might have been Steve Powell. Steve Powell, yeah, it was Steve. And I remember doing the lighting and thinking, bloody hell, that looks quite good. And I remember that Panther just going mad when the smoke machine came on.
Yes.
And everybody scarpered, like it was like, oh man. I mean, it was a real Panther. I mean,
it was that we had that Panther. That Panther was the highest paid character on that whole film.
Yeah, of course it was, because we got
it was from Billy Smarts. Billy Smarts, where it came from. So it was the girl who brought it. And we did that scene where you're saying about where with Steve and the smoke machine, and it had a bit of a moody.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
And then we did another one when we was outside where Cliff was supposed to be walking it through the park with his chain and walking side by side, and somebody set the bloody horn off on a car and it shot up the tree, and it nearly lifted him about 2 foot off the floor. It was up the tree and he was stuck hanging down there. He's going, get me down.
And Cliff was a big lad, wasn't he?
Oh, gee, yeah, he was a powerful man, was Cliff.
Oh, yeah.
But
he was a great loss, wasn't he, when he passed? You know what I mean?
But he literally became like when my father passed away.
Yeah.
So Cliff became like my second dad.
Yeah.
I ended up writing scripts with him, choreographing. Literally just got into the whole bubble. So to the end, I know I was the last one of the crew to see him alive, because we were weight training at the time. We was bodybuilding and stuff. Yeah. And we used to go to the gym, and he said, "I'll see you tomorrow." He always called me son. "You'll see you tomorrow, son." Yeah. And I said, "Yeah, okay, Dad. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll catch you tomorrow." And then I got a phone call at 2 a.m. He had a heart attack.
Such a shame. I mean, I was gobsmacked when I heard about it. I mean, I wasn't obviously as close as you, but I worked with him in Malta on a film, one of David's films in Malta, the Hitman, I think it was. Yeah. And me and him sort of spent a lot of time together, a couple of weeks just working on the set, because we were acting together along, with John, obviously.
John wrote that, didn't he?
He did. He wrote it. And if I remember, there was a couple of really well-known actors of the time, and Ron Lacey was in it.
Yeah. Was that with Donald Pleasance?
Say again?
Didn't Donald Pleasance do some of that?
No, Donald was supposed to be in, but ended up with a guy called George, who was amazing. He was a classically trained Shakespearean actor. How they got him, I don't know. And he was superb. And Ron Lacey, who was, in my eyes, a brilliant TV and film actor, was like in awe of George. And I forget his surname. He was in some really big blockbuster films back in the 60s. And he was your typical, when I was a boy, and me and Lawrence, Laurence Olivier. He's talking about Laurence Olivier. Me and Lawrence shared a flat together in London. And his wife was as mad as a fish in a hat. I mean, it was a really good cast and a really good team. And of course, David's in charge. And so it was fun,
Yeah.
I remember spending time with Cliff. I've still got pictures of me and him together on a windswept hill together. He's about this wide, and he's got his arm around me. You know what he's like.
He was
and what an output. I mean, amazing output. He was always working on something, a new idea. He was always able to get ideas off the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was his thing. I mean, if you look back at all the things that Cliff did, I mean, a lot of people sort of there's loads of there's Facebook things. He's got his own Facebook page now that I get. There's 3 books that have been written that I'm majorly appear in all of those, with loads of photographs, all just about his life. Yeah. Because he started off, he actually started off doing music production. Right. So he used to write music. And that's how he made most of his money, to be honest. A lot of the films were financed by his royalties, because a lot of people, he wrote the theme for Crown Court, if you don't remember Crown Court.
Yeah, of course,
in the day. Well, he wrote the theme for that.
I never knew that. Do you know, he never ever mentioned that, like.
No, his music was like, he used to do, like what we use, if I'm editing our shoot, we use like copyright-free music, or we buy music. Back then, obviously, he used to work for a company called De Wolf, which are based in Wardour Street, still there. And he used to go in, and he couldn't play a note. The man couldn't play a note. He couldn't play a piano, guitar, and beautiful singing voice, but he
Uh-huh.
just knew melodies. So he'd go into the studio with a guy called Jeff Libby, and then they'd sit there and they'd literally, he'd go, it should sound like this, da da dee da da, and he'd go, oh, you mean like this? Yeah, yeah, and did like these things. So a lot of the money that financed the first films that he did, which obviously the first film was GBH,
Yeah.
and then he went on to do all the rest of them in the line of them. God, there's that many. They were all financed because he used to self-finance. He did get some finance from like backers now and then, but a lot of it, like the Tuxedo Warrior, which was the big one.
Yeah.
That's one where Steve first started doing anything. They all went out to Africa.
Yeah. 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 I remember that film. Bloody
Yeah,
hell.
yeah. John Wyman was in it. So he just finished the Bond film. And he came over and he was in it. God, there was a load of people in it. But they literally, he put his house up to get the money.
Oh, right.
And he used to do that all the time. That was his downfall. He loved to create stuff. He's the only guy I know who could write a script while we were working on a film. We was doing a film called Firestar, which was one of the, in my eyes, one of the better ones. It had more money behind it. It was a sci-fi thing.
Right.
Very much like Aliens. Anyway, we was doing that and we was filming that, and he was sat with a pad and he'd be writing, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? And everyone was like, actors in a big stage, and it was quite a big stage set. Steve Tomko built a lovely, lovely set that we used to work in.
Steve Tomko, is he still around?
Yes, he is. I was with him because, like, similar to this, the British Film Institute got in touch with me about Cliff and said, could we do some things like this? And then they got in touch with Steve and some other people wanted to do some filming. So I ended up going to Steve's house because obviously he's not an armourer anymore. For those who know.
Oh, right. Okay. That's when I knew he was an armourer. Right.
Yeah. He used to do all Granada's armour. He did all of the Sherlock Holmes series. He did all the weapons. He did tons of stuff. But he's not doing that now. He got out of it. But yeah, he was like literally, Steve was doing stuff. Everyone, it was just an amazing time to be around the film industry.
Yeah. I mean, I remember sleeping on a floor in a flat or a house somewhere in Manchester, I think. And Steve was there, and Ray. Do you remember Ray, the stuntman Ray?
Yeah, Ray Nichols.
Yeah, Ray Nichols, right? Yeah. And I remember Ray. We were all sitting, lying on the floor in sleeping bags and stuff, and on set, he's drinking beer and talking rubbish, typical bloke stuff. And I remember Ray was telling me this story about this chair or something, this idea he had for a film about a chair, and I don't know whatever happened to that, and I never ever saw Ray. Oh, I haven't seen Ray for 20 years. It must be.
Well, Ray got into it via Brian Sterling.
And I know Brian. I remember that name as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian and I are still good friends now. He's actually the guy who said to me, "You need to write a book," and he just kept going because he's wrote many books. He went to America. When he was in America, he did his degree in sports science. He's very highly thought of in the fitness industry, so he's written many books. But yeah, he said, like, all the stuff that's inside your head about martial arts, you need to write it down. And I was like, nah, because I used to work with Brian with his company doing fitness videos, and this was back when it was a VHS.
Yeah.
So we used to record on HVHS, high band, low band, all the real old gunky stuff.
The old stuff.
Realise, the tapes were the size of a small book.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? If you were lucky, you could have a separate machine. But anyway, so I was doing like gym videos. Brian was filming it. I was doing the exercises just to make money. It was just But like you, back in the day, it wasn't a case of you really wanted to make. You wanted to do the job. You wanted to be an actor. You wanted to be in front of a camera. You had this passion to sort of try and stuff. And Brian, he sort of did the same thing, but he was more businessman. He said, well, I can work more if I make the films myself. So he kind of, with Cliff's help and everyone else, he bought sort of cameras. I know he was making these videos. So yeah, Brian, he was an integral part of, because basically I met Cliff through Brian, because Brian used to know Master Toddy. This is when I was like a champion, so I was a bit of a big-headed divvy.
You never come across as big-headed.
Oh, I was so precocious, it was frightening.
I mean,
I think
you
about
were,
things
let's say, you were a good-looking. I remember photos of you with Tony Moore, right?
Yes.
And blonde and covered in oil, jumping up in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's them.
But I never thought you were a big head. Like I just thought, jammy bastard. I wish I looked like that.
That was the whole thing, though. I mean, that was me. It was now.
Yeah, what happened? What happened?
I've got no hair. And but no, it was, back then it was all part of the thing, was to be like, I say with met Brian. He used to come down to Toddy's. I kind of sort of used to say, all right, okay, because I was champion and I was a bit of a dick. But I just thought, we'll see how it goes. And then I was fighting in, I think it was Bellevue or Belgrade Hotel. I had a fight somewhere. I had a lot of fights, but I had this one fight, and Brian was judging it, and I was like, you do, get in the ring, and the fight went fairly well for me, not so good for the other guy.
What, he came second, did he?
Yeah, he came second it's a horrible story. I mean, I'm not going to mention the guy's name. 2 reasons. One is I can't really remember his name now, but he was really, really cocky. He was a full contact guy, and he was really, really cocky, and he was loads of mouth. He trained some guys with Laugar for a while in Birmingham. He'd done a lot with them, and then he was a real noise, and he said some really not nice things, and I was like, right, okay, and we got in the ring. Anyway, I don't like saying, but I kicked him that hard. He actually lost control of his bowels. So he actually did. He when he went to. He was a kick and he went into the ring. And
what year would that be then?
Oh, Christ.
No, don't worry.
70s,
I mean, it's
late 70s.
Late 70s, early,
Early 80s, late 70s. So anyway, so the guy then basically shot himself, to be honest. He had to throw a towel over him to get him out of the ring.
Oh, God, what a way to go.
It wasn't pretty sight. But anyway, the fight was over with. And then Brian sort of came over to him and just started chatting to me. Yeah. And he said, like, you know, got the hair, and obviously I was jumping around, was in good shape. I did a demonstration after it with Master Toddy, doing all crabby crabong and weapons. And he was like, oh, you should do that. And he said, I've got a guy, come and meet this guy. And Cliff then lived in Prestwich.
Oh, okay.
So he said, they were getting ready to do a film called The Ibiza Connection.
Right. And
they turned around and he said, would you come up and do some auditions? Would you like to do it? And me in front of the camera, too true, whoosh. So I was there with bells on. So met Cliff. The first time I met Cliff, he opened his front door and he had this huge cigar, with his cigar. All right, son. And I was like, come and show him what you can do. So me being me, into the back garden, he's there with his cigar. I said, have you finished with your cigar? I said, yeah, it's nearly done. So I just jumped around, spinning back, kicked it, and just cut out of his mouth. Out of his mouth.
I love that.
And he went, whoa! And I thought, have I messed it up already?
Yeah, no, he would have loved that.
And then he just burst out laughing. He went, you'll do for me. And then we became friends from there. So it was Brian Stern that introduced me to Cliff, who introduced me to Dave, and I met John, and then I met you.
Yeah.
But then obviously we were running parallel.
Yeah.
Because you were doing martial arts and you were training with John.
That's
obviously
right.
I was teaching. Then it was the BT, was it? British. It was BTBC, but before that it was BATMA.
BATMA. British Toddy's organisation.
That was it. That was the very first one.
Somewhere. I've still got a certificate for that upstairs in the loft. You know what I mean?
So that was the very first one. So that I was do BATMA, I was with Toddy, but because I was one of the first of the original students to train in Thai arts.
That's right. So let's just backtrack a bit.
Yeah.
So you first got into that. So let's look at your martial arts. How that started?
Martial arts I'd done from a very, very young age. Pre Bruce Lee.
Yeah. I'm proud to say that. You see, people like us are proud to say that, aren't we? Because everybody says, they all go, yeah, I got into martial arts in 1973 because I saw Bruce Lee. And I go, yeah, I'd started in 1966 before all that stuff.
That's it, exactly.
It's good at it.
You kind of go, it's like with Muay Thai and stuff, everyone sort of goes, oh yeah, I'm a Thai kickboxer. And I go, and I bite my lip, and then they go off themselves. And I go, what are you pre-MMA? or post MMA. You know what I mean? So you have that kind of, and I don't think it's that no, I am. I'm very loyal to Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And I hate people sort of saying, "Oh yeah, I'm Muay Thai, I'm Nak Muay, I'm this, I'm that."
Oh.
And I go, "Really? Yeah, I'm 7 times world this." And I go, "Really?" And I'm like, it boils my butt. But I started from a very young age. The days when it was just karate and judo.
Yeah.
There was nothing else around. So I started doing Shotokan with Sensei Inoida. So Inoida was teaching.
You know, I've trained with Inoida as well.
Yeah. But if anyone.
I graded under Inoida. Everybody did.
Because he was the god, wasn't he? I mean,
yeah, he was.
And again, because it was so limited. The guy who run the club was a guy called Jack Tilley.
Right.
But Inoida used to come up from London like at least twice a month.
Yeah.
We always to train. So I trained a lot with Inoida. So I did Shotokan, and then there was nothing else, and I loved it. And all of a sudden Bruce Lee appeared. And just martial arts club appeared everywhere.
Everywhere. Oh, it was unbelievable.
And I was like, who are all these people?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just couldn't understand how it came from it. So from doing Shotokan, Bruce Lee started. Obviously, everyone fell in love with Bruce Lee. I love Bruce Lee. I couldn't go and see him. I was too young. My eldest brother, who's passed away, he tried to smuggle me in to see Enter the Dragon. He had remember the big long Crombie coats that were
the put you under there.
Yeah, because he was a big guy. He actually stuck me under the coat, and we walked in with my feet. I can't remember what I was. I was well under. I shouldn't have been there.
No,
you got old, and he got flirted, so we didn't get to see it. But yeah, so I was doing that. Then Danny Connors used to have Danny used to have an Oriental World.
Yeah, I remember that. Was it in Dean Street?
He was on Swan Street.
Swan Street, not Dean Street. Yeah, Swan Street.
Yeah, what you're thinking of. So Swan Street was where he had his shop.
Yeah.
Which was literally like a kiosk. So when I used to go there, I used to save up my pocket money. This was still at school, obviously, as a kid. And I used to go and buy the Shotokan badge. Remember the red circle and everything for my gi and all that sort of stuff. He was the only place you could get it from. So I used to go and just stand there and listen to Paddy, who was his sister, and Danny just talking. And I used to be in awe because Danny obviously met Bruce Lee and spent quite a while with him. We went to Rome.
Yeah.
And he used to have a pride of place in the centre of his shop. Used to be a picture of Danny, Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, all sort of stood together. And it was like, oh, now that's a photograph. I mean, obviously Danny's dead now, but I mean, somewhere that picture, and it was like everyone. Once you got into like the inner circle, which didn't take long because it wasn't a very big circle, but as soon as you got into that inner circle, you were kind of, oh, that's me with Bruce and Chuck and all this, and it was, and then obviously he expanded his store, so we pushed it backwards. All the books came in, and he was like literally was the godfather of martial arts in the North.
Oh, definitely, and nobody now has heard of him. You mentioned, to be honest, Stuart, if you mention some of these names to any of the young guys nowadays, I mean, I was talking to a Shotokan guy at Birmingham University, and he was in his 20s, you know, he was a black belt and he was teaching. And I said, yeah, I did Shotokan. I used to train with Inoida Sensei and Kanazawa and, Kawazoi, Abe Sensei. And he looked at me, he's going, oh, who are they? I was like, what? You've never heard of Inoida? You've not heard of Kanazawa?
Yeah. Oh. The Suzuki double hit movement. And
but it's all MMA now, isn't it? You know what I mean? So
that's it. It's such a shame. And that's the thing with history. I mean, for some reason, martial arts, I don't think martial arts is now a very ego-based thing.
Yeah.
Back then, it wasn't an ego-based thing. And I don't say that lightly. Obviously, I mean, like I said, when I got to be a champion, I was a bit big-headed. And I freely admit it. I wouldn't say not big-headed, it's the wrong word. I was full of myself. That's what I was. I used to I knew I was good, and I knew it.
But to be fair, if you're thinking in terms of what you achieved back in them days, I mean, you were, the first British champion in the country. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, to be that age and to be given that honour, you know, having fought and so on. I mean, you could be forgiven for being big-headed, but you're not a big-headed person.
No. It was just
no,
around.
You were confident in your ability.
I think what it was back then. It was like yourself. Anyone that was a martial artist back then lived it, ate it, breathed it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for the notoriety, because there was no notoriety. There was no magazines as such. I mean,
no.
Like there was nothing. I mean, Fighters and Combat were the two that came out first, which Pete Lewis, who's a good friend of mine still today, he was like the main photographer and all that stuff. I've done lots of articles.
Who's that, Silvio?
Hmm?
Who was that? The
Peter
photographer?
Lewis.
Oh, Peter Lewis. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I thought you said Silvio, because Silvio used to take loads of pictures for Combat as well. But that was after. A little bit later. Maybe that was a bit later.
Yeah, that was after. Pete was the first one. When fighting first started in Manchester, it used to be like it was Danny again who put the fights on. It was full contact. It was the likes of like Lance Lewis, Trevor and Tony Dorr. They were guys that were fighting, and Pete used to come down and take pictures and do small articles, and they used to arrive in Fighters or Combat. And then obviously the very first ever Muay Thai tournament Master Toddy put on. Yeah. And I thought that, and Pete was there, and we sort of built a relationship from that day onwards, because he kind of said, I like the way you do stuff, son, and I like being on front of cameras, thank you. And it was one of those, Pete, these are like the instigators of martial arts, and a lot of people don't. So, like I say, Danny Connors. Danny took out some hell of a risk. I can't remember if he ever put his shop or his house or both of them up to open up what was called 259 Deansgate.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what you were thinking of. Yeah. Which was the top floor and of this place, which was on Deansgate, number 259. The top floor was Martial Arts Centre. So he owned the top floor, which was 2 studios, left and right hand side of the stairs. And Master Sken used to teach in the right-hand side. Yeah. Master Toddy used to teach in the left-hand side. Steve Powell taught there. Oh, yeah. Samuel Kwok. Yeah.
Sam Kwok, of course. Wing Chun.
I did Wing Chun there. Yeah. But they were like, it was the first dedicated martial arts studio in the whole country. There was nowhere else. And I remember, I was, again, still a kid. I was in school. I can't remember how old I was, but I was still in school, maybe 5th grade. And I used to get the bus into Manchester in the morning, wait outside. Master Sken had a key to open the place up. Master Toddy did. Steve had one. But Master Sken always used to get there early. So he'd come, open up, and then he used to put me on his back and jog down the road to what's called Top Carpi, which was like a Turkish restaurant thing with one of the students there. He used to get sliced chicken and everything. Get that, and I'd hold it, and then he'd jog back with me, and then he'd jog upstairs, and then I'd sit. And I was nothing. I was a wee kid. I was nothing. I was tiny. Yeah. And they were like the golden days. I mean, when you see like the places I teach at now, and when I do seminars, and the gyms are beautiful. Oh yeah. All matted out, and lines of bags, and and it's like really like the place where I teach now, stunning, absolutely stunning. From where I came from, which I don't know if you actually ever trained in Deansgate, but it was literally like varnished floors, but we had to draw lines around certain parts because the wood was that broken. Yeah. If you couldn't, it would just go through. Yeah,
basically what you call a shithole,
Yeah, that was basically, I didn't want to put it that way, but it was a nice shithole.
Yeah, I've trained in a few of them before. Yeah,
it was real. Yeah.
But that's the way it was. It wasn't about the environment. It was about the people and the training, wasn't it? That's all that mattered.
And that's what I think was my favourite memory of all of martial arts. I've been all over the world. I've fought all over the world. I've won titles and all that lot really doesn't mean jack shit to me. What means more to me now is talking to people like you. And the other day I was at an event and just old friends. And it's nothing to do with, what are you doing now? You've done this. It's more a case of like, how are you doing, mate? My hip. How's your knee? How's your knee?
Yeah. My dodgy knee. But the thing is, I've said this to one or two of the old guys who I've had on here. you know, what's your best memories of the whole thing? And it's always been about the people, you know. It's like, and how few of us are left now, because you know yourself, you start training and you see people come and go. They just come and go, and you're the only one left there from the original group, you know. And these people just give up. And I never thought, as I'm sure you probably say the same, that, you know, like 40 years on, 50 years on, we're still doing it. We're still passionate about it. You know, are we, is something wrong with us, Stu?
There's definitely a screw missing.
Yeah.
But that runs through the thing. I'm not sure about other martial arts, because going back to like with Danny's times, I used to go in, and my first lesson of the day would be Steve Powell. He used to teach nunchaku. So do something with Steve, because his nunchaku is amazing. I mean, his weapons. I mean, Steve Powell is one of them people who's massively, massively underrated. Yeah. And every time I do something like that, I get talked about it. I can't explain how good Steve is. He's that good. I was good, and there's a lot of masters I know are really good, but Steve Powell was something else. He was. This was like years ago. He'd done Japan a few times.
That's
right. He used to go to Thailand. He was in the Philippines. He learned his a screamer. He went to the source every time. Yeah. And he still teaches today.
How old is Steve now? How old is he? He's got to be in his 70s.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't like to say, because if I got it wrong, he'd kill me.
I've got no worries. I'm in Birmingham, so
because he doesn't drive. So
that's all right then. Yeah, good.
He's got a few years under his belt, but that man's knowledge. But when I used to train, I trained with Steve. Then I used to do Wing Chun with a guy called John Darwin and Sam Kwok. Then I used to do Muay Thai, because that was how the classes fell. So I had like a 15-minute break, and Master Toddy used to come in, and we used to start. And then in them days, Master Woody, Grandmaster Toddy, Grandmaster Sken, we were all together. So everyone used to come and teach, and like you get moved around. And the camp system hadn't really been set up then. It was just like we trained, and it wasn't even Muay Thai then. It was Taekwondo.
Taekwondo, yeah. I mean, it was THAI Kwando. Yeah. I was explaining this to somebody, and they were like, "What?" I said, "That's how it started."
Yeah. That's the whole side of this old Thai arts came from back then, which is pre-Deansgate. They were teaching in Oldham, and I heard about it, and I used to get 2 buses up to go and train and get the crap kicked out of me in Oldham when I was a kid. And that was like wearing tracksuit bottoms and a gi top. And he did. And there's still some like very, very respected. I respect them greatly. A guy called Steve Malloy, who still teaches the pure Taekwondo, because that's where they came from. The masters, they were all skilled, obviously, in Muay Thai, but there was nothing said about it. It came from Master Toddy was captain of the Taekwondo team. Yeah. And Master Sken, Master Woody, they were all on it. And then obviously things happened in Thailand, which obviously I'm not going to go into that, but there's things that, so they came to England, to Oldham, to study engineering. And then
that's right, they went
weekends meet, they ended up working the door at Romeo and Juliet's, which was a nightclub in Oldham, where we had the very, very first ever fights were put on. So that's kind of the Thai history. And this is back 70s. This is the early 70s. This was all going on. So that was the sort of how Thai art started in this country.
Yeah, people don't even know that, you know.
No one cares.
Started. I mean, I always say to guys, you know, it started in the Northwest. That's where it all started.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
all started in the Northwest. Yeah, you know, you get people down London saying, "Oh, yeah, it first started." And I go, "No. It was the Northwest. I lived in the Northeast at the time, and I know it was all going on, you know. And I was a young man. I had a motorbike. I used to go over to Manchester. And you know, and I think I'm right in saying this. We did something on a beach at Blackpool with Toddy.
Yeah. We used to do at least once a year. We used to go to the Ambassador Hotel.
Yeah, I thought I was good with that. I thought, have I made? But I was telling that it just came into my head, and I was like, I seem to remember Blackpool.
yeah, we used to do. Again, that was Master Toddy then, because then the divisions had arrived. Because what happened was everyone was together in Batna.
Yeah.
And then everyone said, well, you know, Master Sken like to do his form. Because that's it, like in Muay Thai is a very personal thing. And that's another thing people, there is no such thing as just Muay Thai. Everyone's Muay Thai is different. Your Muay Thai is better than my Muay Thai because your Muay Thai comes from you.
Yeah.
And this is what I was taught in Thailand. This is how they teach. You learn the basics ABCs. This is how to throw a kick. But you'll throw a kick a certain way. Maybe you drop a shoulder or you'll turn your hip a bit sooner than I would. But as long as it works for you and it's effective for you, that's your Muay. So
that's what I liked about Muay Thai, because you're right, in Thailand, it's about principles, isn't it? Get the groundwork in, get the fundamentals together, then fight. And that seems to, you know, it's not a fixed system like Shotokan. You can go to any Shotokan club and your Shotokan is exactly the same as the Shotokan Anoida taught you, the Shotokan that Kawazoi does. Whereas I trained with a couple of different teachers, you know, Yodtong and Pimu, who was my last teacher. And the styles are very different. But you didn't follow his style. You listened to his principles and then took them on board. And I learned a hell of a lot about teaching and coaching by listening and watching Pimu, just listening and watching.
Yeah.
The last time
you teach everyone differently.
Of course. The last time.
That's proper Muay Thai. See, and that's what's been really, that's been lost now.
Yeah.
There's very few also in the Boran. There's very few what I call Boran, which is the ancient boxing. Not now everyone's going because of Tony Jaa, Muay Boran, and
I know.
Muay Boran. Boran means in Thai means ancient, old.
Ancient. That's what. Oh, thank God you said it, because I've been saying it for years. All it means is ancient.
Yeah, it's just old boxing. So prior to Muay Thai being sport and turn into a national sport, Muay Boran was the art that was used in war. But that's where it all comes from. It's the mother of Muay Thai. It all comes from that.
Oh, I met a Muay Boran expert. You know what I mean? And he was telling me about it. I went, is that like Muay culture? And he said, what's that? I said, Muay culture. You don't know what Muay Ledrit? No, Chupasad. And he didn't have a clue what I was talking about. I said, you know, he was taught by Marco de Cesarias, who's Let's
not go down that road.
I can't say what I think of him, but
let's not go down that road.
No, exactly. But you know what, we know what we're talking about. And the terms are just bandied about. You know, I'm a Thai boxer, and I go, oh, right, who do you train with? And they'll say, somebody else say, oh, do you have a Ram Muay? And they'll go, they genuinely, you know this, Stuart, they'll go, what, a what? I go, Ram Muay. You know, what's your Ram Muay? And there's no respect, and they don't even know what a monk on is. And there are a number of shows I've been to recently where they go, you're wearing the monk on? And you go, yeah, me fighters all wear the monk on, and the Aulai and Anrang and Prasya. And they go, and that's, I want, you know, the fight, they want the Ram Muay music. Oh, no, we're not putting that on. And I go, I thought it was a Muay Thai show. Oh, we haven't got time to put that stuff on.
Yeah. But that's happening in Thailand as well now.
Oh.
You know, that's happened in Thailand. I was talking with Tony Moore last year now, obviously, but I was talking to Tony, and we was discussing, because Tony is a bleeding heart Muay Thai tradition type guy.
Absolutely.
I'm a bit more wavering now. I've got older and I accept things. Tony, I won't say he ostracized himself, but he basically went, stuff you lot. I'm not getting involved with that. I'm staying in tradition. And he was telling me he was getting really angry. I was at his club. My son wanted some new gloves. So I said, well, rather than just buy him some, I'll take it to a friend's. You pay him. He makes some money. I know you'll get a good deal off him. And he got some good gloves, got some boom gloves on him. So Oliver got them there. But then we was talking. He said, have you heard the latest news? I was like, no, go on, what? And he said, in Thailand now, they've cut all the runway. You're only allowed to do runway for no more than a minute and a half tops.
Is that in the men's stadiums?
In stadium, yeah. And the TV stadium also, they're supposed to be trying to do it because they want to turn the fighters over quicker and the runway is too long. And he was like, he was fuming, absolutely blaming.
I bet he was.
I'm like, no, I can see what you mean. But I mean, it's part of what we do. If you can't do runway and you don't understand what it means, and then you might as well just put a pair of things on to say it's kickboxing. I'm not. See, this is the thing. I'm not derogatory towards kickboxing. I know a lot of Thais are, and they kind of go,
sport.
oh, it's this, that, and the other, and soft this and soft that. It is. It's a different sport. It's a sport. Muay Thai is an art that has a sport in it.
Yeah.
So all the traditions, these are the arts. These are things that give. When I teach people and they say about like wrong way, so it's like doing Y crew and all the rest of it. I said, this is our kata.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to think it any way, because the other, what is this is our kata. This is how we focus ourselves when we move, and each one of the moves means something, but it's how it's perceived. And loads of people go, oh yeah, I've seen that runway. So which one? And they're like, what do you mean? Who's the one where you dance around? There's thousands, because this is where I talk by Yatong and everyone else is the basic Y crew, 3 bows, everyone does, no problem. Then from there, your camp will have its own runway. So you'll have certain moves that are certain. Then when you become a champion, you can adapt on your camp's runway to make it you. So there's like levels of which you can perform. And I didn't really understand it. And when with Master Toddy, we had, obviously it was Tosakanth Camp. Master Sken was sitting around, and Master Woody was Rama. Yeah. And then when Master Woody moved away and he had enough, Kevin took it over and then he turned it to Siam Camp, sorry. I hold Tosakanth's Camp name. Master Toddy said I could keep it and use it, so my camp's Tosakanth. And sitting around obviously means like son of my father, because Master Sken's father was called Narong. Yeah. So sitting Narong, son, so it's camp of his father. We all sort of diverged. We all kind of moved away from each other, and it was not really a nice time in Muay Thai, because everyone was vying for their own sort of piece of the pie, so to speak. And obviously Master Sken and Master Toddy were both in Manchester a lot then. Yeah. Master Wood, he was clever. He kind of stayed out. He stayed in Oldham.
Yeah, he kept out of the way, didn't he? I remember that time, because I wondered what had happened to Woody, and he was just getting on with his own thing, keeping out of all the nonsense.
And that was always his way. I mean, you always had Master Toddy was always chief instructor, and then you had Master Sken was always senior instructor and advisor, and Master Woody was just happy saying, "Oh, I'm just a teacher." Master Woody is so good. And a lot of people obviously back then didn't realise, because the limelight was Master Sken.
Yeah. Because of the demos, because of the flamboyance and the
bouncing in the air, 10-foot high kicks.
Yeah, apples off swords.
And Master Toddy walking a broken glass with it all on fire and smashing things. Master Toddy Tosakanth was power. Yeah. This is where when I explain people how it was. When there was only the 3, there was no other. There was Tosakanth was power. We hit so hard. It was like boom. Master Sken was speed and flamboyance. So his fighters were like bam, 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 bam. So it was like being hit with a cold bucket of water. Yeah. No one used to say anything about Master Woody. Master Woody's fighters were so sharp with their knee and their clinch work, and they were like an intelligent level of fighting. So you had us guys like Ronnie Green, me, Steve Haley, my brother Mark, and everyone. We were all sort of standing there and like whang, when we kicked you like you got cut in half. The likes of Sandy Hall.
Oh yeah, Sandy,
yeah. Oliver Harrison, Humphrey Harrison,
Phil
Nurse. Phil Nurse.
Yeah.
Phil was technically was Sandy's student, but the original was
okay. Yeah, of course he was.
Yeah, because Phil trained.
Yeah, of course he was. Yeah.
He literally the first generation was like Sandy, Tony, and people like that. But they were all like multiple kicks, bang, 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 and like you get kick one place, punch one place, and it'd be like boom, 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 and you're like Jesus. That was their form of fighting. So it was a great thing. But then when we started to compete against each other, it did build a them and us, which wasn't nice at all. No. It wasn't that. See, I was very lucky, and I still say to my students, I was really lucky the fact that because they were all my masters, I was their students. I was one of the only ones who was allowed to train with Master Toddy on a Saturday, and on a Sunday train with Master Sken, and then on a Wednesday I could train Master Woody, and it was allowed. because they'd all taught me separately.
Yeah.
But back in the day, when there'd be other people there, it literally would be, right, you train at Tosakanth, right? Oh, I want to go and train something. No, you can't do that.
Yeah, I remember.
You was categorically told, no, you can't train there. And that was mainly because if you went and started training there, if they learned our skills or you learned something,
well, it was about stealing, wasn't it? Stealing techniques off each other.
Yeah, because you were fighting then.
Yeah,
so, you might jump in. And also if I got put in a ring against someone from Sittingurong, they were my friends because I was training them. So how can you fight someone like that? So it caused to the point where I used to still go and train with everyone. Like I used to go to summer camp with Master Sken, train with Master Woody, and obviously train full time with Master Toddy and do all like the Blackpool trips. But it was always kind of, you're allowed to do this. Ronnie could do it as well. But there was only about 3 of us that were allowed to do it. But he said, like, you don't tell people you do this.
Yeah.
And you understand, like, it's like, what side your bread's buttered, son? And that was and it was very much like that, which I didn't really understand because I'd been brought with them all. And I was like, why was this? And then I was still a kid. So it didn't, the money side of it had started to roll up.
Yeah.
And when money comes into it, not just with ties, but in general.
With anything. Yeah.
Everyone starts getting a bit, oh, right, okay, so there's money around now. So I want to make sure I get my piece of the pie. And Master Toddy was the first one to set up a permanent full-time Muay Thai camp.
Yeah.
Which Toddy's Academy.
Yeah.
Massive overhead. So I can understand now, being a businessman now, I can say, I can see why you don't want anyone else to go anywhere else. Because Master Sken, he was still just teaching at Hardwick Sports Centre. He was still mobile. And probably did a lot better money-wise because he was teaching big classes and all he was doing was paying like a room rent, whereas obviously he had
a premises to worry about, did he?
Exactly. So there was loads of issues like that, and then I got a little bit bemused with it, and I kind of started saying, I don't like the way this is now. And then when I started sort of saying these things, it was like, no, you need to keep quiet. Well, okay. And I was told several times, no, if you want to carry on doing what you're doing, you just toe the line.
Yeah.
So I went, doesn't really fit well with me. No. And then I got into doing, it was at Master Toddy's, because they did Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah.
Right, so they were in, Master Toddy and Master Woody were both in Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah.
And Roger
Moore. A lot of people don't know that. So what will happen now is people will go, oh, right, and they'll go and watch that again and look for them.
Yeah. All the Thai stuff in it, yeah. Master Woody is when there's a scene where he sat right on the right-hand side as Roger Moore, these doors are open, it's like a big fight's going to happen. Master Woody sat on the right-hand side, is the first one. Master Toddy does a lot of the kicking.
Yeah.
When Joy, who used to come over, who's a Thai girl, she's lovely, I've met her a few times. Joy, the 2 girls knocked the living bail out, and these 2 guys. And Master Toddy got smashed with a watermelon on the head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The funny story about that is she picked up the wrong watermelon. She hit him with a real one and knocked him out.
No.
Yeah. She actually, there was one that was cut.
Yeah.
She smashed it, and then okay, here we go. Right. And in the excitement, she grabbed the one below it and picked it up and actually hit him with a full of watermelon.
Knocked him out
cold. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good story. That.
He was like, oh yeah, she knocked me out, because when she goes, she knocked me out, and then he told the story. But Leslie Crawford, I think his name was Roger Moore's stuntman for it, and became friends with Toddy and everyone else. So he used to visit the club, and then I was like, just to sit there going, oh, it's about films. It's about
amazing.
And then he was like, and I'd literally just be jumping around like a little monkey in the side of thing, jumping up and down, kicking legs, hoping that he'd see me and all. It's like, and then Master Toddy bought a video camera, and we made a small film. And I got sidekicked through a door, and it all smashed, and it was split on the back of my head open. It was brilliant, and that was my sort of induction into films. About this is what I want to do. This.
Yeah.
But back then there was no industry. There was no industry at all. But
no, I mean, like you say, it was there just was no industry, and this is why people like Cliff Twemlow came along and started, getting the ball rolling, really. And actually, strangely enough, all of these things just come together, don't they? It's weird because, you know, you started, you know, Toddy and Sken were obviously in the film, and you'd seen this, and then they were filming it, and that got you into film. And here we are talking about having been in, both of us as well, working in movies and doing Thai boxing. It's just bizarre that you get a group of people coming together.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know whether that would happen nowadays because of, you know, that everybody's online, everybody's a movie star, even if they're not good. Now they've got their own films, they've got their own, you know, I mean, like the guy who shot himself in the ring, that would be all over Facebook now. I mean, somebody would have filmed it, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. And because I say, that's what people sometimes go, oh, here he goes again. The golden times.
But it was.
They were the golden times because it was so pure.
Yeah.
There was no, when you were a champion, you were the champion.
Yeah.
Because there was no, now there's, I am a world champion. I go, oh, nice, great. And I'm always feeling, great. What? So, and then that guy's a champion, and that guy and that guy, and you're all the same weight, but you're all champions. Oh,
it's unbelievable. I know.
and I kind of go, right, is that? And I just, not just out of respect, just go, oh, very nice, you know.
Yeah.
You go, you were champion, weren't you? And I go, yeah, a long time ago.
There's some clubs in Birmingham, and all of their fighters have got belts, and I'm like, how does that happen then? Because hang on, you're 70 kilos, you're 70 kilos, and you've all got belts.
Yeah.
How's that happening then? Have you all fought each other? I don't know what's going on here.
No,
it's like
people just seem to invent titles. I can understand it when
all the time.
Go on, invent a title, get an association, or draw people in title. I so understand it, and I'm over it. There's certain people I'm not going to mention who are involved in Muay Thai. Yeah. Who we both know are definitely not over it and get very irate about it. But I just go, you know, life's too short.
Life's too short. Exactly.
We've done our bit.
You know, I mean, I just still love being part of this whole thing, despite all of the problems you get with it. Because I know that what I'm doing it for me and my students, you know, and what anybody else does, as you've said, let them get on with it. That's life. Things change. Yeah. We don't, except we get it.
How would you say true to yourself?
Yeah.
So if you're like, again, without getting on, if your Muay is your Muay and you're passing your Muay on to other people and it stays the same, then everyone else can go and float as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. I've seen stuff, like say I follow you on Facebook. I see when you're putting courses on and the stuff you're doing to students. I've seen the guys training, and it's great. It's different from what I do.
Yeah.
But it's good Muay Thai, and you can tell it comes from you because I've seen it on different people. And I can actually, I'm not saying I'm like some sort of guru, but I can watch people train and go, he was trained by such a body, he was trained by such a body, just because you can see that core. But
well, I'm proud of my guys because I'll take them to do, you know, somebody from another club will invite me to do a seminar. And I'll take a couple of my guys down, and I could literally, if I dropped dead in that seminar, they could take it, you know, because I won't let them qualify as instructors until they can be a good performer. In other words, be good in front of people, give a good account of themselves. They know their Muay Thai, and they're not afraid to go, I don't know that. I'll have to find out, you know. And it's about a sort of an honesty. Of being a good teacher and not being big-headed and all that sort of stuff. And that's what I love about, because I'm quite isolated. I keep away from all of the organizations now. But I always keep my eye on what's happening. So if any of my guys go out and train in Thailand, like just recently, a couple of the guys went to Santai, where Thailand, Pinsanchai and Manasak are. And they came back, and I said to the guys, I said, oh, can you show me what you've been doing? And I'll learn from them as well. That's what it's about, you know.
That's
and it's
it.
Like, you know.
See, that's because you're not Muay, you're Boran.
Yeah.
You've got history. So being Boran gives you that sort of way of thinking, and that's what's missing now. There's certain people. Sandy Holt.
Yeah.
I love Sandy to bits, and he's an amazing Thai boxer, and he's an amazing. He does lots of things on the media a lot, Great person, one of my best friends, and love speaking with him. Every time I meet him, he's smiling.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great guy. But he's Boran. He's old, and he accepts other people. Then you get the newer ones, and there's people teaching around where I live. I'm not going to, again, mention the name of the camp. And they're literally like backstabbing each other.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, why would you say that? Or why would, don't go there because he's this, or he thinks he's that. And just be happy that you're you. You know, and that's only, you only get that with Boran, with the old boxers.
The old boxers, yeah. The
old boxers, the proper old fighters, proper old trainers. It's like, I teach and I have fighters. Yeah. And I have people who just train. And I train each one of them differently. Every person I teach a little bit different. But this is my Muay. I look at people, I look how they stand, how tall they are, and this would be better for you, so you're going to train this, and he's going to train that, because that's the way I learn. Yeah. But the whole point is, when I'm doing it, if they say, I don't think that's right for me, I go, okay, let's work. There's no ego. There's no need to go, well, I'm Hajan. I'm a master. I've been given these titles. I'm this, that, and the other. I really don't give a shit. I just go, does it work for you? Yeah, great. Go for it. Yeah. Don't get caught up with it. But again, I think now, because it really is an industry, it's not the martial arts world now, is a martial arts industry. You know, everything's, you know, people have, it's moved on, and I'm old and not part of it.
We're like the dinosaurs.
Exactly. But you know, I don't know. I mean, me personally, I don't make money from martial art, from Thai. I don't make money from it.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I've got a lot of clubs all over the place, and I think sometimes people go, God, he must be minted. But actually, I've never franchised them. I never did that because I can't take money off my friends. And, exactly. And when they get me to do a seminar, depending on how many people turn up, you know, I'll get whatever there is. You know, sometimes £100 for going all the way to Scotland. You know, it costs that much in fuel. Yeah. But and then I'll go up again, and then it might be £500. You'd start, you know, I should be able, you know, but I can't. In my head, I can't monetize it in the way that it could be done. Yeah. You know, my accountant would be like, why don't you license everybody? Buy the shorts, the T-shirts. They've got to have this. They've got to have that. Yeah. Every month they've got to pay this, and everybody who's running a club for you should be paying you money. And I go, well, I can't turn around to my mate Justin, right, who's been with me for 35 years. He runs a club down in Cwmbran. He's like our chief instructor for Wales. Like, he actually cried when I gave him the chief instructor thing. It meant that much. You know, he's a really nice guy. And he was a British champion and a European champion back in the day, 80s and 90s, you know. He's a good lad, Justin. He's 50 now. And I can't turn around to somebody like that. Justin Reeks. Yeah, I know him. Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. He fought on loads of shows, BTBC shows back in the day. Yeah. Hard lad, nice kid, really nice guy. And I couldn't turn around to him every month, Stuart, and go, oh, you've got to pay me money to use the name. I couldn't. He's a friend. Yeah. You know, we're linked by, you know, that bond of Muay Thai, like. That's it. And again, I say, because I work in the media and film, TV, that's where I make my money. Yeah. My love and my passion is Muay Thai. Yeah. But where I make money is different, because I never really wanted to make money, because then I always thought, if I start to think about making money, then I'll either make shortcuts or I'll do something that I shouldn't do to make money. So I always avowed to myself, it's never been a money making scheme for me. Yeah, well, I sort of make money in spite of myself, as my partner said. So I tend to do clinical education work at the university when it's open, you know. Yes. But I could never monetize it the way it's been done. I'm not saying that's wrong. No, it's a business way of doing it. And like if you want to do your business, it's not my Muay. It's not my Muay. Yeah. And if it's your business to do that, then that's fair enough. And I totally understand it. I understand if you've got a permanent gym, water rates, electric, these have all got to be paid. Yeah.
So you need to be able to, and I can understand if it's a bit short and someone's going to someone else's club, how you get upset. Don't get me wrong, I totally get it. I understand it. I just say it's not my way.
No.
And I stay away from it. It's, I say, I know lots of people at permanent schools, and I wouldn't do it.
No.
I wouldn't do it just because, and I love teaching, but the stress they must go through, you know, make sure that X, Y, and Z bill are paid, and it's horrendous. And with what's going on at the moment.
I mean, I'm lucky because I've got a really small gym now. I've sort of downsized to a tiny little gym in Birmingham. We can get about 15 people in if we're lucky, with the ring and the bags and everything.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I've been really lucky with the COVID thing, because our landlady has just said, you don't have to pay rent, Bob, because she realizes that I don't make a lot of money off it anyway, I think.
Yeah.
But I've always paid the rent when I can. And she's been really good about the whole thing and said, you only pay rent when this is all over. So I've been lucky, but it's only a small gym. I used to have a full-size gym, which was full-time. And to be honest, Stuart, it used to do me head in, because, you know, it was starting to become a business rather than Muay Thai. So I sort of moved away from it gradually and managed to get other work to cover, you know, and then moved to a smaller gym. Because no matter what happens, I think I'll always want to have that ability to teach. Even if I'm in a bloody wheelchair when I'm 80, you know, I'll still be wanting to be involved in it, you know.
I think that's the thing with the old, again, is the Boran, the old boxers.
Yeah.
We all still teach. The ones that really, we teach, it's not, again, so much for the money of it, but it is the fact that I think it's just a core instilled thing. It's like training Muay Thai itself.
Yeah.
When I first started training Muay Thai, it was hard. And people go, I don't know, it was hard. There was no bags. There was no pads.
No.
You just kicked each other.
Yeah.
And that was it, period. And
we didn't even have shin pads, mate.
There was nothing. We didn't have anklets. We used to buy tuba grip.
Yeah.
And do a little cut in the back of it and pull that onto it. Because that's all there was.
Yeah.
I'm not asking, please all feel sorry for me. But that's what made Muay Thai. There was no shin guards. There was no back gloves. You had a pair of back gloves. You know,
pair of running shorts.
Yeah, that was it. You just, any bit of shit you could put on is what you train.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, tracksuit bottoms, out t-shirts.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, smelly old, and it was just the way it was. And obviously now, the future, which is great. There's all this protective equipment, which I am all in favour for. I think. And it's just it's adapted and changed. And again, that is the beauty of all martial arts. Everything moves. The technical side of it's all great, but then the actual spiritual side of it and the traditional side of it and the respect side of it is not so great anymore.
No. Well, look, Stuart, we've done over an hour there now, mate. And I'll tell you what, I mean, there's definitely, if not part 2, there's definitely a part 3 and 4. Because some areas I want to touch on, like particularly talking about the Ramui and the spiritual aspects of Muay Thai. And I know you're big into that. And you've got 2 books out already, I believe.
Yes.
In fact, you've got 3 because you've got 1 in Thai, haven't you?
Yeah, this one.
So what I'm going to suggest, we're going to put the names of those, right? So Stuart's going to, so everybody listening, Stuart's going to give a big list of all of these books he's written and books to come out as well. Yes. He's also got a very nice range of T-shirts available. I'm looking at them going, ooh, yellow. I love yellow. You say I love yellow. You know?
I can't even show you the back of it. Well, I could show you the back of it, but I'll probably not. But it's awesome. What I'll do, Bob, is when I finish, because these have been specially created.
I know they have.
When it's finished, because I had to buy more than one. Obviously, I've got a few of them. What size are you now?
Huh?
What size are you?
Me, I'm a large, medium.
Large. Yeah, right. I'll send you one.
Well, I tell you what, I've got a new set of Pride Pichai. One of my students, right, and I'm going to say his name because he's been brilliant, right? Dave Allen, if he's listening, he helps me with the kids' classes, right? And he was recently made a senior instructor because the amount of time and effort he puts in and passion. He's gone off and he's organised everything for contactless payments. He's bought me a machine. He's put money into the club, bought all the kids' T-shirts at cost so we don't have to charge the kids too much for their shorts and stuff. So he never makes a profit out of it, right? He just loves it. and Dave's going to get a batch of T-shirts, mate. He's been pestering me, and I know he'll be listening to this. He's been pestering me for months, and he's going to get embarrassed now about giving him the design so he can get the T-shirts made. And I'm like, well, he goes, I'm paying for them. You know, he's proper. He's definitely Boran. You know what I mean? In the making. Yeah. So when we get those T-shirts, they'll be black, sadly, because that's the camp colours. But some beautiful gold stuff on, and some all in Thai writing, obviously, all the Thai characters. I'm going to send you a couple of them over as well.
What I'll do is we'll do an exchange. I'll come down. I'll come down to your gym when you're teaching.
Oh, what a!
I'll come down, and when the book's done, I'll come down and we can exchange and we can do a thing together. But
and I've just realised that I'm terrible. I've never bought any of your books.
Don't buy them. I wouldn't buy them. You know what? They make great coffee mats.
Did you ever buy mine?
I got yours.
Oh, that's important.
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's covered in dust in the corner somewhere. I use it to keep the coffee mug on.
No. You know, just on a last note, anybody who's got that book and they don't know this, it was supposed to be that thick, right? Hence I call it Ultimate Muay Thai. And my editors, because obviously I had a publishing company approach me to write it, said, no, we didn't cut it. No. And I got it back and it was that thick. I was so gutted. Yeah. But I thought, well, it's a book, you know.
That's it. I mean, that's the way it is. Publishers, the new ones, obviously, you've got to go now. But next time we speak, hopefully it'll be again soon. I'll have the lights.
Oh, it will be. It will be next couple of weeks, mate. Definitely. And we'll have better lighting and better.
And I'll have the photographs, and I'll put them on a screen behind so you can see the photographs for the book and everything. It'll all be in it. It'll look really nice. But that was starting out to be one book, because I'm writing this book I'm writing now is I'm doing it in conjunction with a guy called Crew Nick from California.
I know. Do I know Nick? Is it Nick that used to be in England, or is it?
No, you won't know him. No,
okay. Is he with the USMTA?
Yeah, he's very much close with Master Woody. He's one of Master Woody's close friends.
Does he know Clint Highlegger?
Yeah, he knows Clint. Yeah, he's even amazing. He's one of these guys who grew up in California. He learnt Boran from an early age from a Thai who lived in California.
Okay. And
then basically he used Boran, which is the unusual thing, you know, you don't get today. People practice Boran. He actually used it to defend himself on many, many occasions, because obviously where he was in South LA is a dodgy area. He physically used the skills.
I tell you,
properly.
We've got to get him on then, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, I'll sort something out. But like I say, the book we're doing here, we started writing it, and I was doing mine. He was doing his, and he sent it to me. I'm sent to him.
Brilliant.
And it was 900 pages. And I went, we can't do that. So it's now 2 volumes.
Okay, good.
So I'm doing a volume 1.
Yeah.
And it's being done in the curriculum manner. So it's like defense, and all the basic attacks. And then it's like the second volume is the throws, breaks. It's got all the breaking, the throws, the lock-in, all the proper stuff, all sorted out. So yeah, they will be amazing. It will be a stunning thing. But in the next week or so, next week, I'm going to shoot the pictures. As soon as they're done, I'll drop you an email, let you know. Then if you want to do another one of these, we are
definitely going to do another one.
Yeah, and if you want to know anything about, like I say, the old ways,
that's what we're going to talk about, Matt. We're going to talk about, because what we've done at the moment, I think this one's been a bit of a history lesson, hasn't it? And I think that, I mean, I love it. I mean, it fascinates me, even though I was sort of part of it. It's great to hear it coming, you know, from somebody else's point of view. Yeah. And that the fact is that our viewpoints are very, very similar anyway, is besides the point. But I'm going to end the conversation now. I'm going to say thanks very much, Stuart. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Everybody, keep listening. There will be a second and probably a third part. Check the description box below and you'll see all of the details you need about how to get in touch with Stuart, how to get his books, and how to contact him on Facebook and so on. So, Stuart, Sawadee Kap, mate. Sawadee Kap.